are shaken, right? Eurymachus first, he will say, what? Insolence, he can't believe it, right? We thought his little jaunt would come to grief. Up now, he says, we got to go get the guys that we sent off on the boat to kill Telemachus. And Amphinius will then turn around and say, no, I think they're here right now. Down they go to the water's edge. Back they come to the meeting ground. And it's Antinous who will then begin the argument of what we got to do. By the way, notice how the action is starting to pick up in this book, right? Antinous will say, we got to kill Telemachus now because there's this problem with that boy, line 410, while he still lives. Of course, we realize Telemachus is no boy anymore. We're already seeing this kind of coming to fruition. That clever little schemer, they have no idea how ironic these lines are, right? And we're losing the political favor of the people on the island. We got to kill Telemachus, and we got to strike fast, he will say, and strike first. And then we'll seize all of Telemachus' stuff, that is to say his teammate, and we'll leave the palace to Penelope, and whoever gets her hand will then have the palace. We're told at 4:38:5 or so that the suitors are dumbfounded. They're stunned in silence. That the suggestion is just outright, let's just kill him now. And you'll have Amphinius who will say, you know, I don't think we should kill Telemachus right away. Let's ask the gods first, and if the gods say let's kill him, then I'll be the one that does it. They all go back to the palace. Medon, however, the herald, has told Penelope, and Penelope, to show what kind of courage she has, she comes down in front of the suitors, and we say, and she says to Antinous, violent, vicious, scheming, 465. You, they say, are the best men in your age in Ithaca, best for Helicon's counsel. You're nothing of the sort. Madman, why do you weave destruction? We're back to weaving. For Telemachus, show no pity to those who need it, those over whom Almighty Zeus stands guard. It's wrong, unholy, yes, weaving death for those who deserve your mercy. And then she says something fascinating to Alcinous. She says it this way, don't you know your father fled here once? A fugitive. We've heard about fugitives in several of the stories, right? Terrified of the people, up in arms against him because he joined some Taphian pirates out to attack. And she says, the mobs were sent to destroy him, rip his life out, but Odysseus held them back. In other words, your father came to this very house to ask for supplication, and Odysseus took care of him. You make my life an agony, she says. Stop, I tell you. Stop all this and make the rest stop too. Eurymachus will step up and say, whoa, whoa, we got no interest in killing. No one's going to hurt Telemachus. He says, my spear, since time and time again, he says, I tell you this, so help me if it comes true in an instant, that man's blood will spurt around my spear who tries to kill Telemachus. My spear, he says, since time and again Odysseus dandled me, bouncing on his knees, the great raider of cities, fed me, roasted meat, and held the red wine to my lips. Eurymachus knows he was treated well by Odysseus, and yet here he is. So to me, your son's the dearest man alive, and I urge the man to have no fear of death, not from the suitors at least, what comes from the gods, that's no escaping that. Encouraging all the way, we're told, at line 497. Encouraging all the way, but all the while plotting the prince's murder in his mind. Remember what Achilles said in book 9 of Iliad about what he hates? Someone who says one thing and holds another in his heart. Here it is. Well, Penelope goes back upstairs. Athena puts her to sleep. Eurymachus returns. Odysseus is now changed again into an old man. Telemachus asks Eurymachus, especially about the guys coming back who are going to kill him. And he says, yeah, I think I saw the ship coming back into port. And again, Telemachus, we're told at line 428, will smile, glancing towards his father, avoiding Eurymachus' eyes. And then we're told that down they sleep when they had put aside desire for food and drink. They remembered bed and took the sleep of death. Think about the power of that. They will finish this book sleeping under the same roof for the first time. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's beautiful poetry. All right, let's jump really quickly to levels 2 and 3. At level 2A, well, think about this one. The bond between parent and child is very strong, even over 20 years apart. Odysseus and Telemachus, Penelope and Telemachus, right? Notice she's ready very quickly to stand up to Antinous, right? The idea of the two kinds of lying. Think about this. The poem celebrates, the Odyssey, celebrates some kind of lying as helpful. Odysseus and Telemachus, for example, telling lies. But another kind of lying that we saw just now with Eurymachus, that's destructive. That's the suitors. And for that, there is a certain understanding of justice. They will pay for that. In other words, not all lying is the same in the Odyssey. Which is kind of interesting. Okay? By the way, the second will not be respected by Athena. We should point that out. Okay? Also, how about this one? Coming home and going through these transformations as we're watching them is bittersweet. There's joy, there's pain. Of course, these transformations are both Odysseus, he is transformed quite literally, and Telemachus, he is growing up. We're seeing him transformed as well. At level 2B, we said we were going to concentrate on symbolism. Think about this one, the changing or the transforming. Watch this one. Odysseus goes from being old to being young to being old by the end again, right? Telemachus goes from being young to being old. He's growing up, right? Think about this one as well. The suitors are a symbol that the villain is always going to be a necessary requirement in any kind of text so that we can build conflict. Think about that. So the suitors kind of represent, quote unquote, the bad guys. The irony at 2B is the suitors have no idea, right? Doom is hanging over their heads, which this leads to some really good tension if you'll think about it. We know, right, as readers, listeners of the poem, we know these suitors are going to get jacked, but still there's tension. The poet's able to create that. How will it all work out, in other words? At 3A, our comparisons with the Iliad. Well, again, note how often we return to Iliad, Book 9, and Achilles' famous line about what he hates, somebody that says one thing and holds another in his heart. How about this one? The Iliad is going to always be referencing the idea of how Troy will fall. We know that Troy will fall with the Trojan horse, that is to say, deception. Think about how Odysseus in disguise is like a Trojan horse. He's literally going to walk right into his own palace, right next to those suitors, and that's how they're going to be able to jack them, right? Of course, we have as well that Odysseus and Telemachus are going to kill all of those guys, defenseless men, by virtue of extracting all their weapons, right? The Trojan horse. We also have interesting stories about how, because the gods, or God, is on the side of the hero, it doesn't take a lot to be able to kill the bad guy. I mean, think about, for example, in the biblical account, the David and Goliath story, right? One rock will knock down this huge monster of a man, right? With the gods on your side, or with right on your side, you can win. What was your favorite text where a disguise helps a hero to jack the villain? That's always an interesting question. Finally, in 3B, what are the most important transformations in your life so far? The moments in which you can identify that you are growing. We sometimes call these rites of passage moments when you go through them, right? And think about that one. Before you could drive, after you could drive. I mean, that's a simple one. Before you were a ninth grader, after you were a ninth grader. Here in a few days, of course, as a senior, after you graduate. Before you graduate, after you graduate, right? These transformations. What was a time? How about this one? You were reunited with somebody who was absent for a while, a pal, a parent. I mean, I often try to help students imagine what this is like. Think about the last time you wanted something really, really bad, right? For example, somebody's going to give you something, or your parent's going to help you buy something. Let's say, for example, you're going to get some new gift and you know it's coming and you're so excited. Can you imagine waiting with that level of excitement for 20 years? Wondering if it's ever going to happen, hoping it's going to happen, and then finally it happens. I mean, can you imagine what that's like, right? Question, who do you think it's harder on in the moment with Odysseus and his boy? Think it's harder on Odysseus or harder on Telemachus? It's an interesting question. How about this one? Is violence towards these suitors, especially now they're going to be defenseless, do you think it's warranted, right? We're going to ask this question a lot in the next few books of 17 through 22. Do you think it's okay? Notice how the poem is setting you up to say, yeah, no, it's fine. They are clearly bad guys, right? They're going to try and kill Odysseus and Telemachus if Telemachus Odysseus doesn't kill them first. All right, let's turn to book 17 now. Finally, again, we're going to have these recognition scenes. Finally, Odysseus is going to make it back to his palace. Can you imagine being gone for 20 years and showing up? Everything will have changed, right? And there you are, in your own home, but you're there with a bunch of disgusting bad guys. It's obviously, think about this, a different kind of homecoming than the one that Agamemnon comes home to. Agamemnon walks in as a hero, and then they jack him and kill him. Odysseus is going to come into his house, and nobody's even going to know it's him, except for, of course, Telemachus, right? We're going to be looking for that one. And, of course, the recognition scene of all recognition scenes in Book 17. From the dog lovers in the house, get ready to get out your tissue, because we're going to have the famous story of the recognition scene of the classic dog story. It's going to break our hearts, right? The Argo story. Come back and we'll mess around with book 17 next. Thank you, guys.